Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alyssa McCoy, recruiter at Arthrex, and I am presenting today with Hassan. He is our supply chain manager, and we just want to run through a few tips and tricks of how to build a resume, also some interviewing tips, and how to apply for a future position, whether it be an internship or a full-time position. So to start, I'm not sure who knows about Arthrex already, so I just want to go through who we are, what we do, for those of you who don't know. So to start off with our mission statement, which is instilled in every single employee and what we do each and every day, which is helping surgeons treat their patients better. And Arthrex was founded by Reinhold Schmieding. He is our founder and CEO. He founded Arthrex in 1981 in Munich, Germany. It is now a privately held company with no outside investors, and we actually have over 3,700 global employees all around the world. We are very innovative. We have medical education in-house. Pretty much everything is done in-house. If you think about it, we have our medical education, we have our engineers, we have sterilization, quality, and all of our manufacturing practices are done in-house. So a little over 75% of our products are manufactured here in Ave Maria, Florida, at one of our manufacturing plants. And then we also have another manufacturing plant that was just recently built in June, and that is right outside of Greenville, South Carolina. So we have over 14,000 product innovations, over 1,600 patents and pending patents on devices worldwide. We offer surgical skills training to over 15,000 surgeons annually. And Arthrex has been known to be a multi-billion-dollar company with an annual growth rate of 15%. And we are a major exporter to more than 100 countries around the world. And I did post a picture of our founder, Reinhold Schmieding, right here on this page, as well as our patent wall that is located at our corporate headquarters right here in Naples, Florida. So Arthrex in action, a lot of individuals who look at Arthrex aren't really familiar with what we do each and every day. They know we're a medical device company, they know we help people, but they don't really know that we actually help people in our own community or people that we personally know or people that are famous who are whether in the sports arena or part of the Olympics or even boxing. So I posted a few pictures here, some of those individuals you may recognize. We've assisted each and every one of these people with injuries that they have that they may have had, whether it be through football. We have Jocelyn here, who's our Olympic gold medalist. We even have a firefighter who is here in Southwest Florida who had an ankle sprain. So we are impacting the lives of others around the world around us. And you can actually see some of these videos on our social media pages. We have a Facebook page, Instagram page, and we also post a lot of these videos on our own corporate headquarters page, which is arthrex.com. So feel free to take a look at those as well if you have a chance. And Arthrex benefits, we are very well known for our exceptional benefits package. We offer 100% coverage of medical and dental insurance. We have a 401k match, which is up to 6% for each employee. We have free lunch at every location, which our locations are going to be our Naples facility, which is our corporate headquarters. We also have our manufacturing plant in Ave Maria, Florida, and we have our logistics center in Fort Myers, Florida. We also have a free on-site medical clinic at each campus. So if our employees or their immediate families are ever feeling sick or need to have an annual done, they're more than welcome to utilize our on-site medical clinic for free. We do offer paid time off, PTO, each employee. And one of my favorites is Trip of a Lifetime, or also known as the Years of Service, which every 5 years that an employee works at Arthrex, they do receive a trip of a lifetime, and it can be anywhere they choose to go. Arthrex provides them with a monetary amount as well as a week of paid time off to take this trip. And this is recognized every 5 years of employment. We offer tuition reimbursement, vision reimbursement. We recently just built a brand new fitness facility at our North Naples headquarters. It just opened early January. So employees are able to utilize our gym as well. And membership dues will never exceed $25 a month for that. And then a flexible spending account as well. So pretty great benefits package. Here are some photos of our facilities here in Southwest Florida. So we have our corporate headquarters right here in Naples to the left of the top left, and our brand new facility, which employees haven't even moved into yet, which we are anticipating on moving in this spring. So that's Arthrex 1 in the top right. Beautiful building. We also have our Innovation Hotel, which is now up and running. That is also here in Naples, Florida. And employees can, and if they're a sales employee, or if they are any surgeons or even candidates that are interviewing at Arthrex from out of state, they'll be able to stay at this Innovation Hotel right here on campus. And then the bottom right is another picture of our Arthrex 1 facility just on the opposite side. And as you can see, we offer basketball courts, we have a pickleball court. So our founder and president is really excited to have this facility and all this space to be able to house events and promote the health and well-being of our employees so they can get out and live an active lifestyle. So now I'm going to get into resume building and interview tips. So I want to start by offering you some tips on how to create a professional resume. So number one being, you definitely want to keep your resume to one page. Any extra information can be listed on your cover letter, which we do recommend that each candidate does provide with a resume. You always want to start with a captivating objective using 60 words or less. And this is just because you want to make it very clear and concise of exactly what type of position you're looking for. Use a professional and easy to read format, including consistency with font style and size. We see tons of resumes who have different colors, different fonts, and it's just very messy from a reader perspective. So it's just best to keep that all consistent throughout. It's really important to save your resume as a PDF file, just because if you were to send it in as a Word template, sometimes it looks one way to you, but when you're sending it in to us, it could look a completely different way. So when you save it as a PDF, you can ensure that the way you're viewing it is the way we will receive it. Using a professional email address is also very important. It's always best to just use your school email address or just a professional email address with your name. For example, I would use alyssa.mccoy@arthrex.com, or my personal would be alyssa.mccoy@gmail.com. We want to skip unnecessary personal information such as date of birth, citizenship, any marriage status, political leanings, or even photos. This is just really unnecessary. We're not looking for that information. We just really want to hone into your skill set and your education. So with that being said, we want to see all of your employment history or volunteer experience, including accomplishments at each. I realize as a college student, some of you may not have a lot of employment history, so that's where you can really dive into adding in the volunteer experience or even any academic achievements or awards. You can also include extracurricular activities as well to give your resume some fluff. You also want to list any relevant skills, but never embellish your experiences or GPA. And I say this because you may want to have your resume stand out, but then if you're asked to come in for an interview and we go into these details with you and you're not able to provide examples, it's not going to look very good. So just be honest with your resume, but do list any relevant skills that you have pertaining to the position. And then proofread, proofread, proofread. It's always important to proofread for spelling and grammar mistakes. You're wanting to set yourself apart from the hundreds of applications we receive each and every day. And it could take just one misspelling or grammar error for us to pass on your resume. So you never want to let this opportunity slip just because of a grammar or spelling mistake. So here I've provided 2 examples of resumes. So as you can see, the one on the left is not a very great example of a professional resume. The one on the right is a lot more professional and one that we would take into consideration for a position. So the one on the left here, you can see that she has a lot of colors going on. The font is not very easy to read. She also does not have a professional email address being used. And she's very vague when giving an objective and also listing with her work experience. You can tell she hasn't listed any accomplishments at each employer that she's worked for. She also provided a very vague objective, so I'm not really sure as to what exactly she would be looking for in a job. Her volunteer service experience, you can't really tell what she did there as well. So that's where I provided one about Justin Watson. So his resume is very detailed. He states his education right up at the top, which is where we like to see it. When he's graduated, his GPA. He's also included his work experience, and he gave a detailed description as to what he did at each employer. So we can see any achievements that he had. He also provided leadership skills, which is a great thing to have on your resume. And also additional information that he has at the bottom here, which does list his skills, whether it be in his language ability, his technical ability, and even his interests. And I do want to point out too, with GPA, we do like to see it. However, if you feel that you're uncomfortable with providing it, it is not required. So don't feel the need to add in your GPA. And a lot of students do ask, should I put my education up at the top, or should I have it at the bottom, or where should my work experience be? We personally like to see the education listed up at the top, and then you go into your work experience, and then all relevant skills can be listed at the bottom or in an objective, which Justin does not have an objective, which is completely fine. It's not required, but it is a nice to have. You also want to try and tailor your resume to the job you're applying to. So make sure that when you're looking at positions on a website, you read through the detailed job description. And if you see that there are certain skills that are required for the job, or any amounts of experience that is required for the job, and you meet that, you want to make sure that you advertise that in your resume. It will definitely make you stand out as a candidate. Another thing I want to point out too on resumes is we want to make sure that you're employed or currently unemployed. So we want to be able to tell that from your resume. It's always best to have a most updated resume submitted. So as you can see with Justin, and also Joanna provided this too, but you provide a start and an end date for each of your employers. If you're currently employed, then you can just simply state the starting date through present. So once you've gone ahead and applied for a position and you are called back for an interview, it's now time to prepare. So I'm going to give you a few tips on how to prepare for an interview. So number one, which is extremely important, is know the company and position you have applied for, especially if you have submitted multiple applications. And I stress this because we receive tons of applications each and every day with some of the same candidates. Or we'll speak to a candidate who has applied to numerous positions elsewhere, and when we give them a call, they're unsure of what company we are from. So it's best that if you are applying to multiple positions at multiple companies, you want to make an organized list for yourself so you know which positions you've applied to and what the company name is and what the company does. And that includes researching each company. You want to make sure that you at least know 5 facts about the company that you're applying to. It's so simple to do this, especially because of the internet these days. You can easily go to any corporate website and pull 5 facts from there. It literally takes not even 5 minutes of your time, and it does go a long way. Practice interviewing and asking questions. So interviewing can be very nerve-wracking, especially if it's your first interview. So it's always best to practice with friends, family, or even to yourself in the mirror. You also want to practice asking questions. So making sure you prepare questions to ask the interviewer, making sure it's coming out the right way and the right tone. Review your resume. As much as you think you know your resume, you may not. So it's always good to take a second look, even have a friend or family member take a second look at your resume and maybe quiz you on your own resume and skills, because you will have an employer pick out certain things on your resume and ask you to describe them or go into more detail, or even simply provide examples as to what you did at each position that you've held. So be prepared for that. And like I mentioned before, review the job description and requirements. You want to know what job you're applying to and what the job requires, so that way you can best sell yourself. You want to sell yourself and make sure that the employer knows that you're the best fit for the job. And take time to think about why you are the best candidate. You want to think about other success stories that you've had in prior positions that you've held, or even in your academics. We want to hear those examples, and we want to see that in your resume. There are tons and tons of applicants applying, so it is a very competitive job market these days. So you just want to make sure that you stand out. And at Arthrex, I wanted to just let you know what our interview process looks like. Please note that not every company does their interview process this way, but at Arthrex, we have candidates apply online first to be considered for a position. You will then hear back from our recruitment team within 2 weeks. If you are selected for an interview, you'll initially start with a phone interview with HR, and then you'll go into a second phone interview with the hiring manager and possibly another key team member. If all goes well with that second phone interview, we typically like to bring students or candidates on site to actually meet with our team face-to-face. And we sometimes do a second on-site interview so you can meet with additional team members that you didn't get to meet with your first time being on site, but that is optional. It doesn't always happen. And then comes the offer stage. So from start to finish, it could be anywhere from 2 weeks to even 6 weeks. It really just depends on how many applicants we are interviewing and how many people are actively in the process. So once you are coming in for an interview, I wanted to stress some of the interview mistakes with you so that way you do not make any of these. So number one, dressing inappropriate or unprofessional is something that we do see. So you want to make sure that you dress appropriately, and I'll go into how to properly dress for an interview in my next slide. Failure to make eye contact and also having little knowledge about the company are two big ones. That's why I highlighted those in red. Failure to make eye contact, that can come with nerves. You just want to always make sure you're giving your interviewer eye contact. It does show that you're very interested in the job. When we see failure to make eye contact, we think that you are not interested and you have other things more important to worry about than where you are currently. Fidgeting is something that we sometimes see, and that can do with nerves too. A weak handshake, you want to make sure you have a firm handshake. Chewing gum, not smiling, crossing arms, or having bad posture, resume fluff, talking too much during an interview. So a lot of these things are just things we have to be conscientious about. You want to always prepare before you go into an interview so you do not make any of these mistakes. First impressions go a long, long way. So with number one, dressing inappropriately is our very first impression, as well as a handshake. So those are two things that we initially see right away that can make or break your interview. So just have some of these things in the back of your mind the next time you are going in for an interview. And then to the opposite of that, just a few things I wanted to point out again for a successful interview. Preparation is definitely key. If you prepare, you can't fail. So just remember that. Professional dress attire, punctuality, you always want to show up about, I would say, 10 minutes early than your interview. You never know what traffic is going to look like, especially if you've never been to the facility before of where you're interviewing. You want to make sure where you're going, so always allow enough time for that. I have heard of some candidates even arriving at our facility the night before so they know where they're going the morning of, which is not a bad idea at all. Eye contact and body language, that really does show if you're interested in us as much as we're interested in you. So you want to give your all with eye contact and body language. And then sending a thank you note or email. A lot of candidates don't think about this, and this honestly sets you aside from a lot of applicants that we interview. It takes 2 seconds to send an email. You don't necessarily have to send a thank you note through the mail. You can, but if you're not really fond of your handwriting or don't want to take the time to go to the post office and mail a letter, you can simply send an email. It is just as good, and it will go a long way. So I wanted to just provide a short example of dress for success tips. I've provided a gentleman and a woman here and how they are professionally dressed, and this is exactly what we look for. So starting with the male, we can see that he is clean shaven. We can see that he has a clean and pressed suit. His shirt underneath his suit is solid, and it is preferred for it to be white just because it's a very neutral color and it goes with everything. But feel free to wear another color besides white, just as long as it's solid and not distracting. Same with the tie. A striped tie is completely fine, or you can go with a solid tie. You want to make sure that your socks and shoes match your suit. And I say socks because you're probably thinking, well, you're not going to see my socks, but a lot of the times when the candidate sits down, your pants do right up, so we will see the socks, and it's important that those match your suit. They should be dark colored just to go with the suit well. Avoid any heavy cologne or tattoos. If you do have tattoos, just please cover them. We just want to avoid any distractions so that the interviewer is completely interested in what you're saying and is not distracted on other things. For the woman, it's best for clean and brushed hair, soft and natural looking makeup. Jewelry is best in moderation. I get a lot of questions on jewelry, and jewelry is completely fine to wear. Just be light when you're wearing it. So earrings, rings, a bracelet, nothing dangly or that can make a lot of noise because that could make a distraction. Also, when it comes to clothing, I would say skirts and dresses should be to the knee or below. For blouses, solid color or a white is best. For shoes, our dress code policy at Arthrex is closed-toed shoes or a peep-toed shoe. So wearing a closed-toed shoe is definitely more professional, so I would definitely recommend that. Not too high as well, so I would say 1 to 2 inch heel is perfect. Nails should be neutrally polished or no nail polish at all. If you find that your nails are chipping, I would just remove the polish completely. And avoid heavy perfume, cover tattoos as well. And only carry one bag with you. You don't want to come in with all these belongings and then that could be a definite distraction, especially because you don't know what the interview room is going to look like. There may not be enough room. So I would only bring one bag and definitely a binder of some sort to write with. We want to see that you're taking notes and that you're engaged in the interview. So always bring a notepad and something to write with. So after hearing all of that, it's time to officially apply. So with the COVID-19 situation that we are currently dealing with, a lot of you are probably wondering what jobs we have available. Are we on a hiring freeze? The answer is no, we are not on a hiring freeze. We're actively recruiting and still have over 300 positions posted on our website. However, our internship program for the summer 2020 has been canceled, but we will be picking that back up as soon as we're able, which will hopefully be in the fall. So to apply for a position, you would want to visit our career site, which is just careers.arthrex.com. There you can view all of our open positions and even filter by department or keywords. So say you are looking for an internship, you can simply type in intern into the keyword section and all of our open internships will populate. You can then select the position of interest and click apply now. Once you click apply now, you'll be asked to create an account or log in if you have already registered as a user. You'll then want to fill out the application by completing all required fields. Upload a cover letter and resume, which is required. You won't be able to move forward unless you've completed all those required fields, including uploading a cover letter and resume. You'll then submit your application, and then you will hear back from us within 2 weeks. I did make a note here that candidates can apply to more than one position at a time, which is very true. So if you find a few positions that you are interested in, you are more than welcome to apply to more than one job at a time. And then I did want to just list our social media sites. Definitely connect with us. We post a lot of interesting content on our corporate site as well as our social media sites, which are Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So definitely keep us in mind and stay up to date with what's happening. And I will inform your professor, Bob Whitehead, of my contact information. So that way, if you all do have questions on any of the content that I have provided this afternoon, feel free to send your questions to Bob Whitehead, and he will then send them to me, and I can get back to you directly. Thank you so much for your time today, and I will now pass it over to Hassan.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Alyssa, for this. I'm actually going to take over the control here as a presenter. And what I want to be able to do today, and again, I'll just introduce myself again briefly. So Alyssa mentioned, I'm Hassan Katazovich, and I'm actually a supply chain manager at Arthrex, but I'm also involved with FGCU. So I am an adjunct professor this semester at FGCU, teaching a class on supply chain. So I have a course Thursday nights, which is Introduction to Supply Chain Management. So some of you may have other friends or colleagues that are in that course. So what I want to be able to do today is really give you exposure to what some of those opportunities may look like, and specifically within supply chain management. So Alyssa did a phenomenal job of just explaining what is required to be able to get that position. And granted that I'm involved in supply chain, I just want to be able to expose you to some of the opportunities that may exist in supply chain and what some of those day-to-day responsibilities may look like. So I just want to spend a couple slides, couple minutes here talking about some of those tactical roles that you may encounter. So as far as some of the early opportunities that we have, of course, Alyssa mentioned internship opportunities, which is more of a 3 paid month program that has a formal mentorship that's assigned to it. With this internship, basically, there's a great focus on supply chain basics. So you would be encountering many things that you've learned within the classroom environment that we would be able to tie that real world application with that textbook environment that you've learned. There's also a lot of emphasis on tactical execution, reporting, analysis. So whenever your professors might have assigned some of those homework assignments or exams or things that just focused on building Excel skills and reporting and writing some of those good professional emails or papers, this is something that you would have the opportunity to do within this kind of a opportunity. Now, moving on to a co-op position. Co-op is just sort of another degree, another layer on top of the internship. So this one is more of a paid 8-month program. So whereas the internship might be more of a summer program, the co-op is summer plus 1 semester. So basically what you would be able to do is take a semester off from school to be able to work this full-time position here for those 8 months. And many schools now will in fact give you credit if you take that semester off. So you could do maybe an online class for school and still get credit for working as a co-op, but that also depends on school by school basis. But this will really give you an idea of what it's like to work that job full time. And the way that that position is broken down is basically is sort of in three phases. A good third of it is focused on some of those supply chain basics, just like you get with the internship. Another section of that again is technical execution, reporting analysis, and then we give you a little bit more. So with that, there's project management that's involved, and typically we like to give you opportunities that are within areas of inventory, forecasting, some sort of a cost reduction, back order or service level management, and then my favorite, supplier performance. So that's when you measure suppliers' performance to you based on delivery, based on quality, and other factors as well. Now, as far as permanent employment, so once those temporary things are done with internships and co-ops, one of those examples that we offer, and perhaps the most common position that Arthrex does offer, is more of a supply chain buyer planner role. And this job really is sort of categorized or segregated into three different sections. So within this position, you'd be working, for example, with new product development. And the best thing that I think about this type of a role is that you truly do see ideas and dreams come to life. So you're part of seeing how product evolves from being a drawing, being just an idea, through all the different phases until it's approved by the FDA and actually being able to be sold. You also focus on some of those legacy items. So what do we mean by that? So that basically means, okay, well, those products that have already been released, that are selling, you're going to be focusing on making sure that there's a good emphasis on, do we have enough inventory, and making sure that we basically are working without any disruptions with our suppliers, making sure there's a continuity. And of course, you would have special projects. So those special projects might be in some of those areas that we talked about earlier, from cost reduction, supplier performance, and so on. And here they are again. So these are what we consider to be the big five. Now, as far as what does some of that day in the life look like, right? So here you are, you're working in this position, and this is what you could typically expect from a good company like Arthrex that does tend to focus on that well-rounded, making sure that you it's focusing on just giving you that work-life balance. So we do offer a standard 40-hour work week. Of course, as you continue to advance in your career, whether it's with Arthrex or some other places, that 40 hours may stretch, into a little bit more, depending on the week. However, for the most part, I think everybody would agree that we do follow and try to respect that standard 40-hour work week. Of course, there's an emphasis on work-life balance and employee well-being, and Alyssa did cover some of those things that we offer internally, from uh, having a wellness facility on site to having a doctor on site, and other things that just really focus on great employee retention, and as well as employee well-being. The big thing really with this type of a role is that there are many people within Arthrex that will work with you to help you develop your niche. And what I mean by that is, when you look back in your career, at one point in time, you're going to find out that there are things that you're good at, things that maybe you don't necessarily like. Uh, but there are many people that will help you develop that specific skill, that specific area that you want to go into. And that's really how you can even drive your own career. You could go into a direction, into an area, and focus on something that truly interests you, and may even create your own job out of it if there's a true business need. However, if there is ever something, the people at Arthrex are very great about trying to help you develop that. We do offer in-house training that Alyssa mentioned, so it could be to support that area of growth that you want to go into. We also do offer tuition assistance, and for myself, I have been a great beneficiary of this because I completed my MBA at FGCU while I have been working at Arthrex. So that's been very generous and very good for me. Of course, you work in a cross-functional team. So what I mean by that is any business professional today, especially those that are in supply chain, are exposed to many different areas of the company. So just because you're in supply chain does not mean you're going to be working with supply chain people all the time. You're going to be interacting with finance, with marketing, with legal, with engineering. You really are in the middle of everything. So you get to see and experience a little bit of both, which is a part of the reason what attracted me to career path in first place. As I mentioned, so being in the center of all this also gives you that high visibility, high level of autonomy, and really a high degree of trust to make those decisions. So anyway, these are just some of the things that you can expect at a place like Arthrex. And really my favorite thing that I like to offer my students there at FGCU, as well as, whenever somebody asks me, hey, I really don't know what I want to major in, but I've got all these things that I like. Uh, my advice is always, if you're looking for a career that's dynamic, that's challenging and continuous, and you want to continuously keep on learning, I think supply chain is a career that you might be surprised to find out that this is something that would be really good for you. We've seen that people that are good at marketing tend to do well here. People that are good with numbers, with finance or accounting, they also tend to be great because there is a lot of attention to detail that goes into this job. However, if you're also a people person, there's also a role for you here as far as that goes. So again, it's one of those things where I would encourage everybody to ask themselves, is this the right major for me? And should I look into supply chain? So as far as FGCU engagement, right? So here's just some of the things that we noticed. So back in 2015, we basically used to recruit from schools outside of Florida because there was nothing locally here that had a supply chain degree. No local university would offer a 4-year degree. And so because of this, unfortunately, we had to experience a little bit of a higher turnover within the field of supply chain. And it's not just Arthrex, it's many of the local companies that we know that have the same issue. It's difficult to recruit to Southwest Florida from places up north, especially if those candidates do not have family or friends down here in this area. So because of this turnover rate, we knew that we had to do some of the things to be able to recruit more locally. So we basically had, a limited local degree talent that we could recruit from here in Southwest Florida. No regional or local university that focused on this. So basically, we decided to work with FGCU to create a program, which is where I also come into place with being a guy who's in supply chain, helping to grow this degree at FGCU. So again, this was our strategy today and in the past, where we used to focus on the universities there in the left-hand side. But our goal is to predominantly look towards FGCU to hire great graduates in supply chain, hopefully, and be able to offer them those positions, whether it's internship, co-op, and hopefully full-time positions. So yeah, one of the things that we've done with FGCU is, of course, things like this. We would come as guest lecturers in class. We'd offer to talk about basically creating a little bit more momentum about supply chain, talking about what the day in the life scenario looks like. FGCU has also leaned in more towards the industry by hiring adjunct instructors such as myself and others who have had experience in this field and have continued to lean forward. We've also formed this trade group called Supply Chain Forum of Southwest Florida, which is basically an organization that gets together with the local businesses in Southwest Florida who have a need to recruit and retain supply chain talent. And we work together to basically host a conference with FGCU, Lutford College of Business, to talk about some of those topics that are going on in our environment within supply chain. So it could be things ranging from tariffs to disaster recovery to maybe some of the other things that might be going on. But this is a great opportunity for some of those businesses to get together, and it's a great channel for the university to see what does the industry need, what are their requirements, so that FGCU can tailor their programs according to what the regional economy desires. Of course, we've offered, Arthrex tours of FGCU students, and then we've most recently been to FGCU for what is now called the Arthrex Day. So I understand that the university has done this with multiple other businesses, and so several of us were on campus a few months ago talking about Arthrex and just trying to educate on some of these opportunities. So as far as this, supply chain forum of Southwest Florida, we've already talked about this. We've had some events and we have had great success with it. And of course, we continue to lean forward. Because of the recent events, because of COVID-19, we were supposed to have an event on March 26th. However, that's been postponed until later in the fall, where Arthrex is going to attempt to be the host of this again. So this was all started 3 years ago. Since then, we've had about 7 events that we've partnered together with Lutgert College of Business to host and to have, as we've baton passed, this type of an event around local businesses. And we continue to see great success and momentum being built around this. So here's basically what happens next as far as this degree program is concerned. So we know that in order for supply chain to sustain as a major, as a 4-year degree program at FGCU, there needs to be enrollment needs to double every year for the next 3 years. We also, as the industry, need to continue to provide valuable work experience to students. So internships, co-ops, full-time opportunities. You can't simply have students graduate with a degree and not have them get those positions. So we have to be able to lean forward and provide those positions as they make sense. Of course, the continuous growth of supply chain forum. So this trade group that we talked about. So this is something where selected students are also invited to participate from different FGCU classes. And of course, continued support and funding from the local and state partners. Of course, funding is a major topic and needs to be a part of the discussion every time budgets are discussed. So with that said, we want to thank you for your time today. I hope today you have had the opportunity to learn a little bit more about what does a company like Arthrex expect in terms of the interviewing process, what some of those job interview skills look like, and certainly we hope that we've given you an idea of what a day in the life may look like for a career such as the one we discussed in supply chain management. So again, with that, I want to say thank you. Thank you to Professor Bob Whitehead, and Alyssa and I would be happy to answer any of your questions. So if you have any, please send them to Bob, and we will ask Professor Whitehead to send those questions to us. With that note, be well, be safe, and stay healthy. Take care.